feels so weird doing this live. So, for the response sections, we've got, well, it's going to be dark. From Lazy B, breaking. Woman sets man on fire, then claims victimhood as she now suffers PTSD from her own fucking crime. No, I'm not joking. An Australian woman who doused a childhood friend in petrol and set him on fire is appealing her jail sentence on the grounds the judge failed to take into account that she developed PTSD as a result of her own evil sadistic crime. You can't make this shit up. Corby Walpole, 24, has been behind bars since being sentenced in May of last year for attacking Jake Loader, because he joked she should stay in the kitchen and make scones instead of drinking with the boys, in How Long, New South Wales, in January of 2024, and filed a notice of intention to appeal the following month. This is what woke entitlement has done to our country. Violent psychopaths claim, and most likely truly believe, that they are a victim, and usually that is how they are treated. Real victims become neglected. We have a generation of entitled narcissist psychopaths claiming victimhood because that is how they were programmed. Yep. Oh yeah, she looks like an absolutely stable individual anyway, doesn't she? Woman who set friend on fire appeals sentence because the attack gave her PTSD. Yeah. Let's see. Anyone who commits these hideous crimes, male or female, should face... This simple tool has worked for hundreds of years. It's 100% guaranteed to stop repeat offenders. Works great for those who are guilty of, but not limited to, treason, murder, rape, pedophilia. Yeah. Females all over the world are supporting this. Oh, dear God, are you serious? He told her to stay in the kitchen, so she literally cooked him. This diva. Oh, man. That's fuck it, we ball. Ball spelled wrong. Here in Newfoundland, that means you're crying like a sissy, by the way, if you spell it B-A-W-L. Men throw acid on women all the time. That guy didn't throw acid on her. He made a joke. And she was drinking with him at the time, so you would think she'd have a bit of a better sense of humor. Yet a woman throws fire back and suddenly it makes news. She was young, she doesn't understand, let her go. No, fuck off. He should have just told her no or to stop. Takeaway, don't yell, go on, do it when doused in petrol. Seems like he was asking for it. Really, Miss Jade? Aren't you just a lovely person? Chibarashka says, what was he doing there in the first place? They were drinking together, they were friends, you dumb fuck. It wouldn't have happened if he was more careful. He was asking for it. We shouldn't destroy a young woman's life because of this small thing. Jesus Christ, you people. It happened because he was weak. I'd have no qualm beating a woman into a puddle of blood and piss in defense of my life. Or, you could just take the fucking petrol away from her. I support women, of course you do. Not that you are one. If he didn't want it, then why did he act that way? He deserved it. Someone just died. LOL. Yeah, oh yeah. Lovely people. Same sort of people that were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, I'm sure. What's this? Were women to unsex themselves by claiming equality with men, they would become the most hateful, heathen, and disgusting of beings, and would surely perish without male protection. I believe that was Queen Victoria. Yes, it was. Yeah. While this crime is horrific, there has been umpteen cases of severe domestic violence where men have just been given a slap on the wrist only to reoffend, and in many cases take a woman's life. Put this in perspective. You're off your head. Gasman. You're absolutely off your fucking head. Let's move on. Well, we have more people who are absolutely off their fucking head to deal with. From Concerned Citizen. So apparently white women just don't want to have relationships with migrant men. New study shows that white women don't want to form a relationship with migrants from third world countries. And surprise, surprise, the ones who don't are being called bigots. Yeah, it's almost like you're not allowed to have your own sexual preference unless it's what the left approves of.
So apparently white women just don't want to marry or have relationships with migrant men. In other news, water is wet. There is a very interesting conversation that is happening on X at the moment due to this study that was posted by this fella here, Rolf DJ. A whole ass study about how white women are refusing to get with migrant men. The answer? Good old-fashioned bigotry.
Of course it is.
It's so...
What else would it be? It couldn't possibly be that people want to, have babies with people that share their culture and values and morals. Yeah. Yeah, but see, now, here's the thing, Citizen Sigma X. If you approach these women who are carrying this refugees welcome sign and ask them, okay, would you let a refugee stay with you? Most of them would say no. We've seen that over and over and over again with that prank format thing. Diversity has been a disaster for white women. Absolutely true. The government needs to enforce affirmative action in dating and marriage, or else white wombs will be wastefully producing white babies. Yeah. Oh, the irony. Yeah. I wonder why. Yeah. It's becoming increasingly disturbing. As a German woman, I would never marry or have children with a man from Afghanistan or Syria. I want to preserve my own culture, my safety, and my high standard of living. And I don't want my ethnic group to slowly disappear. Good job, Dr. Snuggles. Middle Eastern migrant men regard Western women as whores. They also routinely frequent prostitutes. Doesn't every woman want an uneducated foreigner to abuse her and give her diseases? Maybe white women don't want to be beaten, raped at will, and covered head to toe in constricted clothing. If that's bigoted, I'm a bigot. Good on you, Suzanne. Rolf Degen and many are major in white human behave. If they discover anything related to white or choosing to date white as bigot. I'm not sure what you're trying to say there, iced coffee vibe. Smart mentality. Sorry, what was this? Liberal white women are racists. Okay. Because it's the liberal white women that are refusing to bang these fucking newcomers, right? And let's get darker. From Wiretap Media. 83-year-old Miriam Lancaster was rushed to Vancouver General Hospital with an unusual pain in her foot. So the staff offered to treat her with MAID. Her injury was a non-life-threatening fractured sacrum. Where is your sacrum? That's definitely not in your foot. Is there a sacrum in your foot? Yeah, the sacrum is not located in the foot. It's a large wedge-shaped bone at the base of the spine. I thought so. Like, your fucking sacrum is kind of part of your pelvis. What the hell? Anyway, I think that might be a misprint. Canada's under attack. Now, if she did have a fracture in her spine, or at the base of her spine, the sacrum is the bone below your actual spine, I would think that was a definite cause of a strange pain in your foot.
I got out of bed one morning and put my foot on the floor and had such an excruciating and unusual pain that I called out.
An ambulance was sent out and rushed Lancaster to the Vancouver General Hospital, but when she arrived, she claims the initial treatment offered to her from a young doctor came as a shock.
The admitting staff in the ER had whistled me into a bed, and she was the first medical person questioning me, and that's where it all started, with asking about MAID, and I thought,
$1,300 a pop, and you wonder why someone would refer somebody who's in basically no real jeopardy if they want to be put down? Yeah.
MAID, good heavens, surely not MAID, and I wouldn't take MAID under any circumstances.
Lancaster says the doctor had proposed medical assistance in dying as a way to treat the pain.
My mom did not have a fatal condition. My mom is in wonderful health. We just wanted pain relief, and we wanted to...
Folks, as someone who kind of spends a lot of time on camera, lift your camera up a little bit. Don't speak down into your camera. It makes you look terrible. I guess that would count as a beauty tip. It's coming from me. That's something else.
To know what had happened. It was difficult to identify where the pain had come from.
Lancaster denied MAID and said the problem was later identified as a fractured sacrum, a bone on the base of the spine which is treated through bed rest. While she healed in hospital, Lancaster says she received excellent care and in the year since has taken on worldly adventures.
My daughter and I do like to travel, and so...
Yeah, so, Before they'd even diagnosed what her problem was, they asked if she wanted to be killed. Fuck this country. Fuck this country so hard. The country is a death cult from conception to unnatural death. Yeah. Cradle to the grave, no matter how they put you there. Your neighborhood troll said, things that never happened. Really? You think so? Nice try. That doctor needs to be in jail for life. Yeah. Miriam and her family should keep in mind the 10 Commandments. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Fuck off. Fuck all the way off. In fact, when you are done fucking off and can't fuck off any further, take a 90-degree turn to the left and continue to fuck off some more. Liberalism is a virus that first robs you of your sanity, then it robs you of your will to survive. Yeah, liberalism, not even once. No wonder we aren't allowed to be Christians. That would support the fact that this program is sinful. Yeah. I will point out that if you follow the Catholic dogma that suicide is a sin that sees you sent to perdition forever, the Canadian government is now sending their own citizens to hell. Avoid hospitals, cut funding, don't support their causes. How much are they earning? The hospitals don't earn anything, but the doctors get, looks like around $1,300 just for the initial consult. Yep. Canada does not value life at all. Name the doctor. That, yes, absolutely, you should name the doctor. People saying it's a fake story. I have people on Gander arguing with me all the time that MAID isn't actually being used the way it is. Yeah. Let's see. All boomers should take MAID. Aisha was 6. Maybe you should pick a side there, Skippy. You're kind of flailing in all directions. Okay, speaking of flailing in all directions, let's talk about Canadian government. I'll pause this if I can. There we are. From Juno News, MP Lawton, who did work for Juno News, so full disclosure there. 1 in 3 for child sexual abuse material possession had not adhered to the minimum. Why are we not keeping these offenders behind bars? The minister, the mandatory minimum should be upheld with the exception of cases where it would be disproportionate. Then you don't need the mandatory minimum. The whole point of the mandatory minimum was essentially an election ploy to show, oh, look, we're tough on crime. No, you're not. Not by instituting a mandatory minimum. A mandatory minimum takes away a judge's discretion in sentencing. So if, for example, someone were to punch someone in the face, which is an assault, assuming they didn't do any grievous harm or anything, simple assault, and there's a mandatory minimum of, let's say, 2 years, or maybe a year, we'll say a year, then even though it wasn't necessarily a particularly egregious assault, for example, the person who got punched in the face may have been insulting the wife of the person who did the punching. Kind of justifiable, in my opinion. But it takes away the judge's ability to say, okay, you know what, he was insulting your wife, you have a right to defend your wife, or potentially maybe the person had actually lunged toward his wife. We'll kind of ameliorate the situation a little bit there. But with that mandatory minimum, the judge can't say, okay, look, just go do some community service and please stop picking fights with people, or please try to avoid getting in fights in the future. The judge can't say that because the legislators have then taken away the power of the judge to say, well, this isn't so serious. At the same time, someone who punches someone else in the face while that person doing the punching is drunk and intentionally just out of nowhere punches somebody, that person now also only gets a minimum of a year. But the judge still has the ability to say, well, no, you're going to do 3 because you're an asshole. I'll give you the maximum I can. Yeah. And yeah, personally, I despise the idea of mandatory minimums. And this situation is talking about child sexual assault material, or child sexual abuse material, possession. So apparently judges are only giving the mandatory minimum in about 2/3 of cases. So the mandatory minimum is pointless if you can't hold the judge to it. And personally, I don't think there should be a mandatory minimum below the death penalty for such things. There's not enough space in jail for all of them. This guy might actually be retarded. Definition of mandatory has been changed. Yeah. Funny thing that, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, God, so we have to deal with Gary again. I'm sorry. Let's see, from Ace of Spades, which I'm not following, but that's fine. Before they exerted the full extent of their power, the tyrants in government took away all guns legally owned by the people. The showdown has begun in Canada over firearms. The Canadian government just confirmed that they will force both Alberta and Saskatchewan to enforce all firearm bans or else. These two provinces recently enacted laws to opt out of this program. Not only that, but you have dozens of police forces and loads of municipalities who are saying, we aren't going to enforce this. And it's given the amount of effort that the government is expending trying to get guns away from the average person, as opposed to getting them off the street and out of the hands of criminals, it's becoming more and more clear that they have a very nefarious motive for doing so. And yeah, they absolutely shouldn't be allowed to. Let's see. Gun Control Hall of Fame. Stalin, Pol Pot, Hitler, and Mao. Took guns away from his citizens. We'll just blow this up a little bit so we can read it. Took guns away from his citizens in 1929 that murdered 20 million of them once they were defenseless. That was more than 20 million. Took guns away from his citizens in 56 that murdered 2 million of them once defenseless. Took guns away from his citizens in 38 that murdered 13 million of them once defenseless. Took guns away from his citizens in 35 that murdered 20 million of them when they were defenseless. Yeah. Also, Pol Pot killed anybody with glasses because he thought they were part of the intellectual class. Do Canadians have a sense of history? No, because they're not teaching actual history in school. What they're teaching is a sanitized, government-approved, published by a single publisher set of history. Yeah. You should be concerned about that, too. Once upon a time, patriots didn't register their firearms with tyrants. They shot them. Quote from Renee Firestone, a Hungarian Jew and Holocaust survivor from the documentary The Last Days. People wonder how is it that we didn't do something? We didn't run away, we didn't hide. Well, things didn't happen at once. Things happened very slowly. So each time a new law came out or a restriction, we said, well, just another thing, it'll blow over. Yeah. Never trust your government. Once you give up your guns, they're going to kill you. You know that, right? Fuck this shit. Yeah. Who's going to fight the government with pitchforks and torches? Or did I say torch forks and pitches? No, okay, I'm good. Will enough Canadians wake up to the truth? When it affects them, and that's the problem. The average Canadian is not a hunter, is not a sports shooter, is not anyone who has any concern about firearms, other than criminals using them potentially against them. The problem there is that if you don't speak up when someone infringes the basic liberty of your neighbor, when your neighbor is gone, they can then infringe on your basic liberties. And there's nothing you'll be able to do about it because the liberty that you might have been able to use to defend yourself is gone. Also, looks like the Alberta referendum is definitely on now. The only reason why the government would want to disarm you after 243 years is because they intend to do something that you would shoot them for. Yep. Yeah, very true. Though using the Chinese stars is a bit incorrect. It should be a Soviet sickle and hammer. Let's see. I love the smell of a failed gun grab in the morning. Yeah, 98.5% refusal rate. Or 97.5. I think it's 2.5% of people actually decided to take part. Canada is supposed to work for all provinces, not just two. Ah, you're in favor. You're a fucking idiot. That has not been true since 1867. The Corporation of Canada and Lower Canada rules the political elite in Upper Canada. The British and the French made a deal. Yeah, the only two provinces that matter are Ottawa and Quebec, which is probably a good reason to consider separation. This is an interesting point of departure. This is an interesting point of departure between the East and the West. I do kind of argue against calling Ottawa the East, considering I'm in Newfoundland. I think the eastern provinces should be considered to be the Atlantic provinces. I think that should be synonymous. And Quebec and Ontario should be considered central Canada, considering they were central to the country anyway. This might be the thicker wedge that drives this country truly apart. Gun owners are typically independent-minded people who are fully aware of the true purpose of this bill, make the people incapable of defending themselves. Control. It could be a great divide moment, says Ace of Spades. Absolutely true. I'll throw a follow on you. I don't think this summer is going to be a good one in Canada. Things feel chaotic and unsettled in overreach and idealism. Scales have tipped too far. Let's hope not. Let's see. They have no idea what's behind the closed doors. Sounds like a death wish. These are not native-born Canadians. None of them should be able to hold any office. Yeah, that's another very good point. We have Gary, Olivia Chow, some other Innu, Chinese, I'm not sure, and a couple of token whites with a bunch of token blacks. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to talking about, unfortunately, child sex abuse. God, I love my job. From RipX4Nutmeg. Okay. I have no idea if that's supposed to be an acronym for something else. In just the last 9 months, at least 6 UK Pride activists have been charged with or convicted of child sexual abuse offences. And these are just the ones whose crimes were serious enough and Pride activism well enough known to be reported on. Yeah, we have Stephen Ireland, Samuel Winbridge, Amelia Connolly. Yes, definitely born an Amelia with a jaw like that. Ashley Boyd, David Sutton, Jake Radwell. Yeah. I know you're used to reporting on this, but for anyone unfamiliar with your account, it might be worth pointing out that they are all male. Doesn't matter. They're child abusers. Doesn't matter what gender they were born. Yeah, don't let your kids go to shit like this. LGBTQ youth groups. No. Keep them away from it. Let's see. Grok, give me an outline of all commonalities between these 6 offenders. Let's have a look at that. All 6 share these commonalities. They're all affiliated with UK Pride groups. They're all charged or convicted of sex assault or sexual abuse offenses against children. They involve minors, often under 13. Several used activism or professional roles to access the children. UK residents, mixed gender sexuality, 5 male, 1 female. Yeah, sure. Who are you saying is the female? Amelia Connolly. Yeah. Not biological female. Okay, from Aaron Gunn. We have, it's frankly embarrassing and an indictment of those that lead us that gas prices in Canada have spiked to over $2 per litre because of a conflict on the other side of the world. We have, right here in Canada, the 4th largest oil reserves on the planet. Pipelines should have been built 10 years ago. Refineries should have been built 10 years ago. We should have an energy policy that puts Canada and Canadians first. This is ridiculous. Well, Aaron, if you're curious why Canada has never built a coast-to-coast-to-coast pipeline, part of the reason is because Quebec would rather have another Lac Megantic than allow the federal government to run a pipeline through their territory. That's really the major reason. Yeah. And, the various governments that we've had since this whole climate bullshit started have decided that it's far better to ship our garbage and any other pollution we can get rid of out to other countries, which is part of the reason why Duterte was so pissed off at Canada for a while about garbage shipments. Yeah. We're not actually doing anything for the environment. We haven't instituted new technologies that will clean up the environment before anybody brings up a wind farm or a solar panel farm. All those do is blight the landscape, and they use far more fossil fuels to create that equipment than they actually prevent use of by operation. And in the case of the windmill blades, because they're made out of fiberglass and unrecyclable, they have to be trucked somewhere to be buried using heavy equipment. More waste of fossil fuels. Even funnier is when they freeze up in the wintertime and they need to be defrosted, you have to use a fucking helicopter and a flamethrower. More fossil fuel use. Yeah. We're not at the point where green technology will work. If we were, if you wanted all-electric vehicles in a city, there's an easy way to do it. You build charging stations and hook them to a nuclear fucking reactor. From Paul Mitchell. So requiring the taxpayer-funded teachers of Alberta's children to be politically neutral is, quote, offensive to teachers. Yeah, the political neutrality mandate in Alberta classrooms is offensive to teachers, says the union. Dissolve the union, fire all the teachers, hire actual people. Time for a career change. Grade 4 is the critical grade that marks the transition from kindergarten to formalized teaching. Indoctrination into a leftist ideology begins in earnest. Oh no, it happens way earlier. There are kindergarten teachers with rainbow flags on the wall. You think those people aren't talking to the kids about their gender? Yeah. Marxist Student Federation. Gee, how'd that happen? Alberta is in for a war of public opinion. Parents must get involved. Educate, not indoctrinate. There is nothing more important than educated kids who think for themselves and are not brainwashed. Critical thinking is the one thing that a government that wants to control you does not want you to have. Radical teachers must not win and must be replaced. Teachers who do a great job of educating must receive bonuses. It's the number one investment in our future. Yeah. Gonna triage some of these out. Okay, let's talk about Mark fucking Carney. Yeah, that's his middle name. Yeah. It starts with a PH. And it's a PHUGKING. Fucking. Mark fucking Carney. Good news for your local brewery. We're extending alcohol excise tax relief for 2 more years. Woo! Keep them drunk and distracted, huh, Mark? Fucking asshole. Yeah. Ace of Spades pops in. Carney promoting drug addiction and alcoholism just for you. When you are drunk or drugged, you just pass out. Taxing and cheating seniors or vets out of their pensions never gets addressed. Carney advised Harper. Carney advised fucking Harper. Jesus. Good news for those with open minds. Another Pierre Polyev interview just dropped, this time with Diary of a CEO. Yeah, I'm not interested in the controlled opposition's opinion, thanks. Let's see. Oh, no, blonde bigot. Yay! We can save a few pennies on beer so we can tolerate the rest of the way you're ruining the fucking country. It's like he's begging us to act out in a violent manner. What do you think the gun control thing is about? Gaslighting never ends. Big Daddy Scarney, gonna ply us with alcohol before fucking us. Smooth operator. Trump didn't destroy Canada, we did. Well, if you were actually advising fucking Harper, it's all you, dude, because you were advising this fucking clown show, too. Speaking of clown shows, let's talk about internalized transphobia, shall we? No, I'm not kidding, it's real. It's fucking hilarious. The ending is amazing. Self-loathing retards. Yeah, listen to this.
Trans hate in the fucking world. Sorry, there's so much trans hate in the world right now, and I'm so done with it. And pride just means that we are unabashedly happy just to be alive.
No, she just said she takes part in pride. She believes pride is an expression of them being unabashedly happy just to be alive. Now let's see the flip.
Yeah. Anna, where do you personally feel that hate is coming from?
Most places, but especially the government.
And in your own life, where would you say that you feel the hate the most?
In your own life, where would you say you feel the hate the most?
I feel like I kind of internalize a lot of the hate, so it feels like it mostly comes from myself at this point.
It mostly feels like it comes from myself. It mostly feels like it comes from myself at this point. This person, and we'll assume female, I don't care, I will assume, we'll assume female, this girl has been convinced by the society around her, society at large, that, you know, it's perfectly okay to deny reality and be your own thing, for lack of knowing how she identifies. At the same time, she talks about the greatest amount of hate that she has, or has encountered, is coming from herself. How does this not strike someone, if they were capable of critical thinking, as your brain attempting to tell you through intuition or subconscious that maybe you're doing something fucking wrong? It should be most hate or evil comes from men here. Well, you can fuck off. Their egos have killed almost everything around it. Of course, a man who is bitter because he wasn't born female is no more deserving of sympathy than a short man who wishes he were tall. The trans movement is a sham designed to redirect the public's compassion toward the first world inconveniences of privileged men at the expense of women and girls. That's a girl. Nice try, though. I think she meant that because she internalized the hate, she also found fault with herself. Oh, mind reading. Good job. And that this itself is condemnable. Not sure what her broader point is. She might be greatly confused because I know I am. Well, she's obviously confused. Not might be. She is obviously confused. Speaking of people who are confused. Yeah. Rochester man given 180 days in jail for raping girls. The victims were between 4 and 9 at the time. Yeah, and I have to ask, tell me again how the death penalty is cruel. So this is from Diana Allister. 6 months in jail for raping 2 little girls between 4 and 9. System feels irreparably broken. When your leaders choose criminals over you, your leaders are criminals. Anarcho-tyranny again. Excuse me. Anarcho-tyranny again. A war against the government is getting closer and closer each day. It doesn't have to be a war against the government. It's just... Let me guess, the judge was male. See, you might think that, but I bet you'd be wrong. Not necessarily. And we don't know, so... Treatment center. If dogs are put to sleep for attacking children, why aren't we doing the same to pedophiles? Yeah. The only place a pedophile should be hanging around. What's this? Time for the judges to meet justice. Yeah, we definitely need to find some way to regulate these judges in the West. Dead pedophiles don't reoffend. Feet first. Time is running out for this once great nation. Victims' blood male relatives know what needs to be done. Scafism is the way. Scafism? Scafism. Okay, it's from Greek, meaning boat. The boats, reported by Plutarch in his Life of Artaxerxes, citing Ctesias, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, as an ancient Persian method of execution. The victim is trapped between 2 small boats, one inverted on top of the other, with limbs and heads sticking out, feeding them and smearing them with milk and honey, and allowing them to fester and be devoured by insects and other vermin over time. Ooh. Yay. Sagra tuta. That's fucking brutal. Again, I don't support torture. I do support death penalties. Unfixables deserve nothing less than the death penalty. Broken justice system. Criminal penalties should be directly proportional to the severity of the offense and the offender's culpability. Past the point of wanting them in prison. Yeah. We voted against the grooming gang. Yeah, there's a reminder for you. Your own government voted against a grooming gang inquiry. Can't imagine why. Before you touch my children, understand that I would go to prison with a smile on my face for them. Your life is nothing to me. My own life is nothing to me when my kids are involved. And wah, Gary, wah. Yep. So, I will say, as I usually do, I don't encourage violence. But, you know, sometimes it's not necessarily unjustified. Okay, so with all that dark shit out of the way, let me leave you with this. Because, well, it's a Newfoundland dog, for one thing. And it's a compilation of Newfoundland dogs, actually. But I do love my Newfoundlanders. My Newfoundland dogs. Yeah, I'm going to point out, notice that the dog doesn't actually react until the other dog barks.
Oh.
Yeah. We used to use those things for pulling carts full of wood. Your ass in a chair is not going to slow him down. For the record, this is play. As I just mentioned, we used to use these dogs for pulling carts. You're kind of doing it wrong, Mrs. Little one. You should be in there, and the dog, well, you don't need the Segway if you've got the dog. Or hoverboard, whatever the hell that thing is. This is just cute. Yeah.
Come on, there we go.
They're just little puppers. You know, they're not very big at all.
No shake. Okay.
No shake for you, lady.
Did you do this?
Okay, I want to point something out. You will get away with this with a Newfoundland because they are very mild creatures in general. But with the average dog, this is not a good choice. You should not be threatening the dog and looming over him like this because you are going to make the dog feel cornered and he may attack you to defend himself. This guy's clearly not going to, but yeah. There's a lap dog for you, hey? 150 pounds.
Just one.
155-pound Build-A-Bear that hates physical attention. Or affection. That's not true. Newfoundlands love physical affection.
One hug.
Probably just doesn't like her. Or he wants to play.
I'd even grip you.
Yeah, Mom's had enough of the babies.
You're a little baby. Oh.
Yeah, they are extremely friendly dogs.
You're such a little baby. You're so cute.
Yeah. Okay, so that's going to be the end of the show today. Well, for the recorded sections anyway. So if you would like to support what I do, please fling me a few bucks over on Ko-Fi. You can find the link in the description, the pinned comment. Oh yeah, and in the ticker, because it's been going by over and over the whole time. If you do throw me a few bucks on a monthly basis, I will put your name, if you request it, in the ticker. And you will join then Zenrab7, Simon JJ, and Sadie Sapientier. Otherwise, and I do have one donor who does prefer to remain anonymous. Not sure if it's 7,000 shekels guy or not. I doubt it, considering some of the things I say. But that's one of the folks in the Orangutan Gang. You will also end up in the Orangutan Gang kind of on an honorary basis if you like, chat, comment, share, follow, or subscribe. Now, those last two, it's kind of platform dependent. If you subscribe on Rumble, it ends up costing you money. I would prefer you send your money through Ko-Fi, but it's your money. You do with it what you please. Other than that, folks, I hope you're doing well. I hope you continue to do well. I'll see you tomorrow. And as always, rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye.